Hi, my name's Dan Smith, and I'm coming to you from my home office here in Boise, Idaho. And this is a video blog. And I was just reading somebody else's blog this morning. It's on the verse in Proverbs. It says, Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the servant's lender." And as I was reading that passage, the young man who wrote the article seemed to indicate that he felt that what the scripture passage meant today versus what it meant back when it was originally written was no longer relevant to today. Since blogs are about opinions and we all have one, I'm going to offer mine. So this is a video blog on just my opinion. And so what does it mean that the rich rule over the poor and the borrower becomes a lender's slave? Well, the question is, who has the money and who has the need? You know, the person who has all the money they need is not the person who's out generally looking to get a loan. Whether or not they are rich or not, in my view, is immaterial. It really doesn't matter. The one with the money is the person who has the need, and the person who has the need is the one that's looking to get a loan. And the person who has the money has the choice whether to loan the money or not to loan the money. And if in the case of a family member or a friend wanting a loan, the fact is that the person who is being hit upon to give the loan out, he has the choice whether he wants to give that loan or not. And here's a fact: a good way to ruin a good friendship or a close relationship with a relative is to borrow some money, and that can ruin a friendship in a big hurry. What about in the case of a home loan or a car loan? Say that you take out a loan and you buy a new home. What has been the problem in the last few years is with our economy as it's gone south is that we have a lot of foreclosures. We've had an unprecedented number of foreclosures in the last few years, not only in the U.S. but around the world. And the rich and the greedy homeowners or home loan companies, the banks, they seem to be under the impression that they have a right to get paid for the loans that they've given out, and they take legal action against anybody who disagrees, and they kick them out. I've had a number of friends. In fact, I know some people right now that are getting kicked out of their home. So years ago, I had a friend who bought a car. It was a Trans Am. It was a chick magnet, and it worked for him. He got hooked up with a cute little girl, and they fell in love, and yada yada yada. The rest. Anyway, the problem was that he couldn't afford to have the chick and the car, and after a few months of non-payment, the car got repossessed. And he came to work crying that it just wasn't fair that they took his car. Well, my question is, fair to who? The loan company or to him? He borrowed the money, and he either needed to pay it back or to give the car back. That's just bottom line. There are other reasons why I believe that it's important to be honest when you borrow money and paying it back, and that's in Psalm 37, verse 21, it states that the wicked borrows and doesn't pay back, but it goes on to say that the righteous shows mercy and gives. So anyway, this is the behavior that I believe that makes God happy, and I'm of the belief that it's better to make him happy than it is to make him angry. There's a lot in the scriptures about borrowing money. There is no scriptural prohibition against borrowing money. It just indicates that it's not a very good practice, not a very good thing to do, as it does put you into debt to another person, and you become their slave. There is no another thing that it does is it just basically it mortgages your future. You are in slavery until that debt's paid off. Another reason I believe it's good to stay out of debt is because I lived in debt for a number of years. About 32 years I was in deep debt, and I hated being in debt. Sometimes I felt like I had an invisible hand on my throat that was just choking off my oxygen supply. I used to have like panic attacks. I couldn't breathe. I'd wake up after just a couple hours worth of sleep, and I'd just stay awake, lay there all night long worrying about how I was going to pay off my bills, pay my debts. And just for a mental picture of what I felt like I was standing on my tiptoes as high as I could possibly stand, and I was immersed in water all the way up to my nostrils. And the water was so high that I had to turn my head up sideways like this just to keep one nostril above the water line. And I felt like I was just breathing through one nostril for years. I felt that way all the time, like the waves were crashing over my head. And just one small mistake, and that it would just choke off my oxygen supply. And I just felt like I was drowning in debt all the time. And I lived with that kind of stress for many years. And I know I was a little bit of a renegade, but I wanted to be 100% debt free. That was my dream. It was my great desire, was to get out of debt 100%, pay off my house, pay off my cars, everything. And I was able to finally accomplish that. And I haven't had a house payment, a car payment for the last 6 years. Credit cards, they get paid off every month. So I live way, way easier now. I breathe way better now with no debt than the way that I lived for all those years. About 32 years I lived that way. And I know it's difficult to live without debt. It is doable. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because it is possible, but it's not simple. It's not easy. So the bottom line for me, why do I have opinion that it is unwise to be in debt and to be a slave to someone else? Because there's scriptural indications that it is foolish to make yourself to appear to be rich through the use of debt and not have the money to pay your bills. And what are the unintended consequences of living that way? It can be the loss of a friendship, or the repossession of a house or a car, or whatever the lender has loaned money for. And I'm not saying that all debt is bad. Robert Kiyosaki writes in his book about good debt and bad debt. A good debt would be an asset that puts money into your pocket, like an apartment building that pays rents. Bad debt buys liabilities that takes money out of your pocket, like the Go Fast chick magnet car that my friend bought that I spoke of earlier, or trips to Hawaii that could get put onto the credit card and just don't ever seem to get paid off for years and years. And so my question is, would you like to loan some money to the writer of the other article, who might be looking for a way to get out of paying you back the money because he might be looking into bankruptcy? There's other reasons why I believe that it's important to pay your debts, and that has to do with the law of the harvest, as stated in Genesis 8:22. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, or another word for it is karma. And although I personally don't like the word karma, but I prefer the law of the harvest. But it just states that basically whatever we sow, that's what we reap, or the golden rule: do as to others as you'd have them to do unto you. So if we can't pay our bills, I believe that it robs us of future blessings that God has for us, so that we will reap what we sow. And you might not get paid back in the future as a consequence of not paying your bills. So take my word about it. I've made every mistake that you can make as far as financial mistakes, and it's way, way better to live out of debt than it is to live in debt. And borrow it if you have to, but just know that you are indebted to the person that you borrowed the money for. But if you're looking for a way to increase your income and to not have a need to borrow money in the future, to make enough money to pay off your debt that you currently have, click the link below and take a few minutes and go ahead and enter your email address there. Take about 30 minutes to watch that video and discover the way that you can increase your income to the point where you don't need to borrow money, and actually you can make your monthly or your yearly income into your monthly income. So go ahead and click that link below, put your email address in there, take the 30 minutes and watch that video, discover how you can increase your income to the point where debt would not be something that you really need to live with. So anyway, this is Dan Smith. This is my video blog, sharing my opinions with you. Hope this video helps you, and you take care, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks, and bye-bye.